The V40 is one of the newest scooters to be released by Navee, a company with ties to Chinese brand Xiaomi. There's a lot to like about it, but it's not without its faults. The build quality is excellent. It's a chunky, sturdy feeling scooter with nice handle grips and some great features like a bright headlight, a rear disc brake, a working brake light, and cruise control. It's pretty fast, topping out at 32 km/h or 20 mph. The motor is rated at 300 watts and they say it peaks at 600, and I could believe that because it has quite a bit of torque for a scooter at this price. At just 36 pounds or 16 kilograms, it's light enough to lift into and out of a car and carry up steps without slipping a disc in your back. The 10-inch wheels are large and chunky with pneumatic tyres that soften the ride. It has a 36-volt 7.8 amp-hour battery and it can carry a rider up to 265 pounds. I really like this onboard display that tells you the speed and remaining battery capacity. It's a very modern and sleek design. Apart from one issue which I'll get to in a minute, the ride is really nice. It feels sturdy on the road, nothing rattles or squeaks, and it inspires a feeling of safety. Even on this loose gravel road, it felt surprisingly solid and connected to the ground. The front electronic brake works in combination with the rear disc brake to give reliable, predictable stopping power with no risk of getting thrown over the handlebars. And so in terms of the hardware, it's a pretty nice bit of gear and much better built than a lot of scooters at this price, which is currently $500 Canadian or around $370 US. They say it can do up to 40 kilometers or 25 miles on a charge. I tested this by riding up and down a long, smooth, mostly flat road until the battery died, and I got 26 kilometers or 16 miles, and I weigh 150 pounds. I'm still really happy with that range on a scooter at this price, but 26 kilometers is a long way from 40. There are a few things about this scooter that I'm not quite as fond of. For one, the throttle is controlled by a thumb lever, not a twist grip, and that's quite common on scooters, but on this one it's extremely sensitive. It's hard to ride the scooter smoothly at any speed other than full speed, because trying to keep the thumb lever still enough in order to hold a steady speed is quite challenging, and so this can result in quite a jerky ride if you're not going full throttle. Every little bump makes my thumb move just a millimeter or two forward or backward, and this is enough to suddenly speed up or slow down the motor. I wish they'd been able to implement a much smoother throttle curve like this, rather than the one it has, which to me feels more like this. I was hoping that the app would allow the throttle sensitivity to be adjusted, and while I usually avoid installing apps like this whenever possible, I installed it anyway to see if there was any throttle adjustment. But the current version on Android at the time of this review is broken, at least for me and a few dozen other reviewers on the Play Store. It uses Xiaomi's Mi Home app, which is an app built more for things like smart lights and robot vacuum cleaners, but they somewhat clumsily shoehorned in some support for electric scooters. It's one of those apps that collects more personal data than I feel comfortable with, and it won't work until you create an account, which requires the mandatory sharing of your phone number, and that's if you can actually get it to work. But for me and some other people, there's a prove you're not a robot CAPTCHA that you have to solve, the one where you click on images, but almost all of it is outside the bottom of the screen, so I can't actually see or click on the images, and so I couldn't create an account. This means I couldn't adjust anything on the scooter, like change from miles per hour to kilometers per hour, or use the extra features like the security lock, cruise control, or the auto-sensing headlight. I can't set up the regen braking or get stats about the ride, like the distance remaining on the battery. I decided to dig out an old iPhone and see if that worked any better, and on iOS it does allow you to create an account, and with just an email address, no phone number necessary. So I used a disposable email address and went through the settings in the app looking for a cure to the sensitive throttle, but sadly there's no way to adjust that throttle curve. It's something I'll just have to get used to, just like the sticky thumb lever, which has led to some interesting situations when coming to junctions among traffic. I thought the V40 was amazing when I first assembled it, stepped onto it and went for that first ride. It's so solid and it feels really fast and punchy for a motor that's only rated at 300 watts. It's also lightweight and super quiet. The build quality feels way more expensive than the price they're selling it for. But this beautifully built machine needs a bit more love from the company's software department. With the overly sensitive and sometimes sticky thumb throttle, and some important features being locked behind a privacy crunching app, I'm not quite ready to say that I love this scooter. I do like it, but love is something deeper. I'm hoping that Navee and Xiaomi can find some more love in their hearts for the V40 to fix the app, smooth out that throttle curve, and let this be the fantastic scooter it was born to be. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.